This video was brought to you by Noble Knight Games. More about them at the end of the video. Hey everybody, Kimberly here, and I was excited to make this video specifically for the 5 games that are 2024 releases that I've played, I have my hands on, or I know a lot about that make me very personally interested in them. And I feel like that's different from the 10 games list before that I just knew a little bit about. I don't have any of those copies. I don't know necessarily how the game is going to play out, but I anticipate enjoying it. Now, these games I have played or, again, know so much about and still am thrilled to talk to you about them. So I feel like I got some little insider scoop here. So for me, I'm going to start this list with a game that I know a lot of people are probably talking about because it is a standalone from Wingspan. It is Wormspan. So I'm excited. I've got my copy and I'm going to be getting out my solo review for this, just this game in a review, because I cannot wait to tell you more about how this game works. But generally speaking, players are going to have their board much like they did in Wingspan, and they're going to be enticing these dragons to come stay with them. They can play cave cards, which of course you have to have a cave card down on your player board before you bring in a dragon. And that's interesting in and of itself, that you kind of have to prime that space. The next thing is you're going to add a dragon to your player mat, which of course costs particular resources, but gains you certain things and actions. Again, just really cool the way all these different dragon cards are going to work and function, much like the birds do in Wingspan. There are all these dragon abilities, and they just look so stinking cool. You also have hatchlings, and that's freaking adorable. And they also require that you pay milk, but there's also these dragon eggs that are really, really cute, super cute dragon eggs. The next thing you can do on your turn is explore, and that's where you put down your marker saying, I want to activate this whole row, and I'm going to start here and get this thing and activate that card and activate this card and activate that card, and that has that super cool feature of activating cards like that, which I just find really cool. Raising Robots has that activation where you're building down your cards, and then you want to activate that row after you've got some really cool dragons, in this case, in those particular rows. But there are spaces in between cards that you get actions for, which I just think is super, super cool. And then the other thing that's really cool and wholly unique to Wormspan is this Dragon Guild, where you're moving around the circle, gaining bonuses, but when you hit the bottom, you're going to be able to place one of your markers on a space that only one player can go in each space or empty space next to a rule, and it's going to give you victory points. It's going to give you like end game stuff. It's going to give you free opportunities that you get, and then maybe you block from somebody else getting. And so I think that just looks really cool. There's so much motivation behind that movement. So I am super, super excited to bring more details about Wormspan and get you just super excited about the game. But that's where I'm going to start my list right here, is with Wormspan. The next thing I want to talk about, my next game, is Skyrise. I played this game and did a run-through for Rado's channel last year for the campaign for Skyrise, and I have to say I was really impressed by the game. It's on this list because it's good. It's on this list because it's got a very fun feature which I normally wouldn't necessarily be primed for. It's got this fascinating auction bidding where players are bidding more than another player by placing an adjacent tower that has a particular number on it, and you are trying to go more or higher than the previously placed building adjacent to where that is. And if any player is the last one, it comes back to them because players have passed, they gain that location, they leave that building, and they just get it. And you're building buildings in these quadrants on this city, and you have personal like benefactors, and you have these private goals. It's really fun and delightful. I think the auction bidding on that's great. You got endgame bonuses. And you also have this area majority, and so you want to get your buildings in particular areas and locations for that majority victory points. It's great. I want to get my hands on a copy so I can play it again. I've played it several times. 2 to 4 players, 30 to 90 minutes. Yeah, really nice. A nice light game, but has some fantastic features to it. All right, the next game I have also played as well. I've got a review or an overview up on my channel already. It's Trailblazer, the Arizona Trail. This is a grittier, like more complex Trailblazer game offered by the same folks who brought us the John Muir Trail. And I think this just has some nice worker placement, resource management, personal pattern tableau building, and you're really competing for these spots to grab flora and fauna cards and tiles, and you are traveling the Arizona Trail. There are 8 legs of this journey. You're going to go up and look at these beautiful passage cards that you're going to have to pay for, but then of course you get great resources for. And I think the really, really cool feature this game offers is that you start at 0 with your Superstition Gold and your Arizona Grit, and you move backwards along the path, and you want your point scores to pass each other, because the further distance you get between your markers once they have passed is going to be your positive score, and the person who has the most points of gold left over when they subtract their grit is going to be the winner. And I think that's just a super cool, Rajas of the Ganges kind of play. And I mean, like, games that have done that since then are just really cool. I think it's a fantastic feature. So really great Western feel, great artwork, and I think it's just a complex enough game to just be really juicy and fun. Okay, the next game is called Astro Knights Eternity. I have played a bunch of Astro Knights, all through the main box, Astro Knights, period. I've also played a ton of Aeon Zen and Aeon Zen Legacy version, and Astro Knights Eternity is the narrative, cooperative version of this deck building game that, of course, famously doesn't have shuffling, which I think is just so cool. So Eternity is the standalone cooperative deck building game. You've got that scenarios that are connected, by your theme. It says here it just adds more to it. Again, I'm so familiar with this, but I've also been deluged with some of these legacy games. And so that's why Eternity has been pushed back, but it's right there. It's right there on my shelf. And so it's going to be played once we get through our Kinfire Chronicles. And so, yes, very nice to kind of just take one of these kind of legacy games at a time. But this is fantastic because players are working together to defeat a baddie, and it always feels like impossible. I think it's just so tough. And they do such a good job of this deck building game to really grow your personal character that usually starts off with an asymmetrical player. You have like a different ability and a different strength on your different starting deck, and then you just build it with the cards that are out there, a la, deck building style. But when you're done with your cards, when you've finished, you just take your deck and you turn it over, and that's how you draw from the new deck. So you never shuffle your cards. You always know essentially what order your cards are in, and I think that's just a fascinating feature that this works really, really well with. Plus the initiative card draw of whose turn it is every round. I absolutely love the way that works. So you might be first, you might be fifth, but then the next round you might be first, so you kind of have, turns back to back, which is great. So fun, fun, fun. Love the cooperative play. Every scenario is about an hour to play, 1 to 4 players. And it says it's about 3 out of 5 complexity. So fun, but not overwhelmingly. Okay, and then my last one, I saved this for last, and this is in no order in particular, but boy am I excited about Clank Legacy 2 Acquisitions Incorporated Darkest Magic. Okay, so it has an exclamation point, it has a colon, it has a dash, right? This is the second legacy for Clank, and I really liked Clank Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated, the first one, so much. I loved that the game had 2 boards to it, and you added new rooms and new locations to discover throughout the game. You added new cards to the deck. I love the deck building in this game so much. I love the humor. I love the playfulness. I mean, this is going to be an epic sequel, and I will love it. I just will, because this game is just so emotional for me. I don't know, like, I just really do like this. There's so much press your luck, which definitely appeals to me, I love the deck building and I love the fantasy theme to it. So just really looking forward to it. So in the core system of Clank, players are drawing cards from their hand and then they are moving around in this kind of dungeon or location that requires them to use feet to move, and they might have to make noise, which of course will draw the dragon's attention. And once you're done playing your turn and then acquiring new cards to add to your deck, you are going to possibly stir the dragon, which means that there are cubes in this bag, and if your cubes get drawn, they are added to your health and you are essentially taking damage. And hopefully you don't take too much damage and you get back above the line to count or score all of your points. And every game is just nail-biting edge of your seat. Clank Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated is my favorite Legacy game of all time, so how can I not look forward to number 2? So Darkest Magic, can't wait to fight bosses, avoid the dragon, collect the loot. Yeah, and compete with my fellow employees to get back up across the kill line. So just tons of fun. So that's going to wrap up those 5 games that I'm really familiar with and or have played, but still want you to know about because they are coming out in 2024. And I'm just really excited. I think they're going to be fantastic games, fantastic plays, and some of them may not suit your personality. These are totally, clearly games that really appeal to me in a variety of ways. So thanks for hanging in there. And if you have any of those games that you have played that you know are going to be really cool and you want to share with other people, get it in the comments, post it down there. I will take a look at it and hopefully get a chance to check it out. All right, everybody. I'll see you later. Bye.
Here at Noble Knight Games, we've been carefully growing the world's largest selection of board games, role-playing games and dice, war games, miniatures and paints, card games, and more. Going on 25 years now. Our rustic castle contains more game and hobby goodness than you can shake a stick at. Complete with careful packaging and the finest customer service the land can provide. You can buy, sell, trade from anywhere in the world, just like nature intended. Noble Knight Games.